May I now invite our founder, Mr. Rajendra Singh Pawar, to welcome you all and brief the august gathering about the annual lecture tradition. Sir.
Good morning, friends, and welcome to this one event that we all look forward to with great anticipation and expectation, which is the annual lecture. I thought I'll just take a few minutes to give a bit of a background to this very important annual event that is one of the more important traditions on this campus. So it was on a Saturday, 15th of November 2009, when the first lecture was delivered on this land, on this campus. And that was done by our Chancellor then, Dr. Karan Singh. And we wanted to put it down in history as the first lecture. And I think all of us liked it so much. Of course, he is a person who can be more than inspiring. He lifts the audience to a different level. And we all decided that day that we should make that a tradition, and that around the same time on a Saturday, every November, we should invite Dr. Karan Singh to give a talk. So then it became the second annual lecture and then the third. And he was a chancellor for 10 years. So the first lecture happened in 2009 and the 11th lecture marked the end of his second term as a chancellor. And a few of the people here have listened to all the lectures, but all have listened to some of his lectures, and I'm not going to make a list of all, but I think the philosophical underpinnings of this campus in many ways, of our thought process, about how the mind should be prepared and opened. The talks have been around subjects which got us to revisit fundamentals. And the titles were interesting. The first one was 4 Pillars of Learning, which was a UN declaration of what education to be all about. But it went through things like the message of the Bhagavad Gita, talk with the interfaith movement in a year when there were conflicts. Many dimensions of peace around the same time would be so relevant today as well. And once he talked about the 5 dreams of Sri Aurobindo for India. He had done his PhD in that subject. And the growing relevance of Vedanta. And then there was a year when he spoke about this question of science and religion. Is there a conflict? Or is it a deeper convergence? And so until the time he remained a chancellor, we did these lectures. And then 2020 was the 12th lecture. And that was the year of COVID. So we had called, and that was virtual. And we had asked Dr. Naresh Trehan to open our minds. And the title he had was Building Your Future in COVID Times, which is how to confront the reality and yet how to, embrace whatever was in front of us. And that was a very well-attended lecture. It also was COVID times and it was virtual. So we had sent out the invite far and wide. So that was the departure from the earlier series, but we chose that every year we should pick a topic. The subsequent year, we had asked Mr. Kamath, who had just come back after finishing a term as head of the bank, which was set up by India, Brazil, China, and so on. He was in China for 5 years. And he spoke about digital India. And he talked about digital currencies, digital India, but the larger view of the world as seen from a lens where everything is becoming digital. I thought it was a mind-opening exercise again, but talked about the importance of the subjects we are also dealing with since inception, which are to do with digital and information and so on. And last year we had the great author, philosopher, diplomat, Pawan Verma, who's written many books on identity, on who are we and what, And he had written the book not long before that on Adi Shankaracharya, who raised the famous question, "Who am I?" which is a self-discovery question. But his topic was, "Who are we?" It was about identity. It was about the mind once again. Who are we? Who are we really as people here? So this time, when we were thinking about the topic, it had to be something centered around the mind quite clearly, because that's what all the young people who come here, we want to make a significant contribution to the way they deal with their mind, to the way they recognize the importance of understanding who you are and what your mind is, and playing some role in shaping it. So this time we could think of no one better than Viswanathan Anand. And so it didn't take long in the conversation when we were talking about the topic. So I said, who else can share with us a journey of shaping a beautiful mind? Who else can do that rather than Vishy? So he has been a very close friend of the NIIT brand, if I may use the term, from 1998, when we first engaged with him and thought of the idea that he should be linked with us as someone who's a brand ambassador, because the virtues that he brings are the virtues we aspire to bring into NIIT, of which trust is the most important, innovation and technology, but also, I think, of things of the mind. So, in fact, we had started soon after Vishy became the world champ, which he became in 2000. We said that let's take IT education into rural India, into the government schools of India. And we had started that movement. And then we thought of this idea of why not to introduce chess into rural India, into government schools, because they all had computers. We had, tens of thousands of places where we were teaching young children. And so the Mind Champion Academy was, again, a coinage we did to say young people to become Mind Champion, and inspired and in some senses guided by Vishy. And what would happen in those years he used to be in Spain and he was busy. And one of the guidelines we had is that he's a brand ambassador, but we can't disturb him when he's practicing or playing games, which is a good part of the time. So he would come every winter. He had a window. And during that time, since the school children were playing chess in their schools and then in their districts and states and so on, there would be a whole competition starting from the lowest level going up to 4 zones, north, south, east, west. And the best 20 players of each zone, 4 cities, different cities every time in north, south, east, west, Vishy would go to the 4 cities and play simultaneous chess with the best 20 players of that region. And that went on for many years. I would dare say that millions of young children, because ultimately 10 million children went through the government IT education program that we ran between 1999 and 2010 or so. And during that time, I think this game, because I remember when he became world champ, we were telling him, okay, so now you become the world champion, you will become champion many times, which he indeed did. He said, what will you do for chess? Can you bring it back to India? And that was a small contribution of making the game popular. But now, Vishy will talk about him. Vijay will talk a little more about him when I introduce him. But in many ways, now he is indeed advising and coaching our best 4 players. He may talk about that as well. So it's been a very long association. It's a journey which we have truly enjoyed. It was the longest standing brand ambassador relationship of any sport in this country. And by the way, he came to this campus before the first class started. We have pictures of him with the safety hat which we had to wear when the buildings were coming. That was the first visit. And then he came for a second visit and he played simultaneous chess. And I saw, if you go on the top floor, there's the window, there are photographs. I saw one of his pictures. So this is his third visit. And we are truly delighted that the 15th annual lecture, which marks the beginning of the 15th year, is being done by someone who we truly respect and regard, and with whom we've had a long relationship. And this is his third visit here. We wish there will be more. We plan there will be more. Because eventually, I think, like him, who's perhaps the greatest mind, one of the greatest minds this country has produced, who is shaping the great chess world champs of tomorrow directly, but influencing many more indirectly. And we thought nothing better than making the 15th annual talk on the topic of shaping a beautiful mind. So welcome, Vishy. Delighted to have you here. Thank you.